Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Wednesday Feast program. I am very grateful to all of you for coming here and attending this program in the presence of our wonderful, beautiful Lordships, Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha, the dancing sweethearts of Boston. There's a very beautiful verse from the Puranas which describe the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. It says, Gita Shastram idam punyam yah patet prayatah puman Vishnor padam avapnoti bhaya shokadi varjita. This is a verse in Sanskrit which means Gita Shastram idam punyam. That this Shastra or this literature called as the Gita, the song of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. How is this book? Gita Shastram idam punyam. It's all pure, and anyone who comes in contact with this book also becomes purified. So therefore, it's very important to hear and read the Bhagavad Gita regularly. Now the second portion of the verse, Gita Shastram idam punyam yah patet prayatah puman. Those living beings who hear the Bhagavad Gita, to be more precise, those human beings who study the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnor padam avapnoti, they would definitely achieve the lotus feet of Vishnu or Sri Krishna. And while staying here, while living in this world, bhaya shoka adi varjita. They'll be free from all the ideas and influences of fear, lamentation, hankering, and illusion. So it's a great benediction. People in this material world are always tormented by constant stress. Yes, constant fear. If you carefully study even the birds in this material world, they are constantly fearful. You would see the eyes of the birds and the neck of these birds constantly moving. They're always afraid of when there's going to be death, who's going to shoot them, who's going to kill them, who's going to eat them. So fear is a very strong emotion in this world. And to express and gift somebody a path by which you can eternally be fearless, that's a great benediction. Yes? So Krishna is making that happen simply by singing this beautiful song called as the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnor padam avapnoti bhaya shokadi varjita. So while being in this material world, we become free from all ideas and influences of fear, lamentation, illusion, and hankering. And ultimately we achieve the highest abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, which is naturally free from all of these things. The abode of Vishnu is called as Vaikuntha. Yes, we have heard this term, Vaikuntha. The word kuntha in Sanskrit means anxiety or stress. And Vai means vigata, that place which doesn't have, or that place which doesn't possess. Kuntha, Vaikuntha. So this material world is kunthasthanam. It's a place filled with illusion and stress. But the spiritual world is free from all ideas of. The spiritual world is free from all ideas of stress and anxiety. Vaikuntha. There are many verses, but I would like to discuss one more verse about the glories of Bhagavad Gita. This verse by one of the great acharyas, it states, Bhagavad Gita kinjida dhita ganga jala lava kanika pita sakrid eva murari samarcha kriyate tasya na yamena charcha. It's a very beautiful verse. It means Bhagavad Gita kinjida dhita. Anybody who studies and meditates on even one verse of the Bhagavad Gita, even for some time, kinjida means little. So Bhagavad Gita kinjida dhita, those who meditate, even for a short period of time, even on a short verse or a segment of a verse of the Bhagavad Gita, and Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita, and if that person takes a drop of Ganga Jal on the tongue, that's all their life, have done nothing else but just taken one drop of Ganga Jal. Bhagavad Gita kinjida dhita, if they have meditated on Bhagavad Gita, even for a little time, and if they Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita, accidentally or knowingly, if they have drunk even a drop of Ganga Jal, and third, Sakrid Eva Murari Samarcha, and if they have worshipped Murari Sri Krishna even little, for such a person, now listen to the fourth line. Are we ready? Kriyate tasya na yamena charcha. Such a person will never have any discussion or conversation with Yamaraj. See, the bells ringing. Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha ki. So what are the three things? Bhagavad Gita, kinjida dhita, little meditation on Bhagavad Gita, and Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita, and little drinking, let me finish the sentence, little drinking of Ganga Jal, little sipping of Ganga Jal, and little worship of Murari, Sri Krishna, is sufficient to save you from hell. But our aim is not simply to escape the negative, but to achieve the ultimate abode where there is eternal love and no death. Yes? So this Bhagavad Gita is a very sweet nectarian flow of knowledge. Now the Bhagavad Gita is a portion of the Mahabharata. If you read the Mahabharata, it's very dramatic, no doubt. It's a very well scripted and well written story, historic narration. But the readers and the students of Bhagavad Gita find Bhagavad Gita to be sweeter than Mahabharata. Yes, very interesting point. Bhagavad Gita comes from Mahabharata, but then people who study intensely the Bhagavad Gita find it sweeter than the source, that is Mahabharata. Same is the case with the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas. Yes, the origin is the Vedic literature. But the readers and devotees studying the Srimad Bhagavatam find the Srimad Bhagavatam to be sweeter than the ocean of Vedic knowledge. So when one devotee was asked, one great acharya, about this, he gave two very wonderful examples. He said, if you observe a tree, are the roots very tasty? Is the trunk very tasty? Is the branch very tasty? But the fruit is very sweet. The fruit comes from the tree. Yes, the source of the fruit is the tree. And the tree is not as sweet as the pulp of the fruit, which comes from the same tree. And what to speak of The mango fruit. We have people gulping down their saliva. That's how tasty aam is, or mango is. In India, the juice of the mango is called as aam ras. Yes, ras means taste, and aam means mango. So sometimes I say, our aim is not to chase aam ras, the mellow of aam, mango, but to chase naam ras, the mellow of the holy name. So this is the first example. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are like the fruits, the mango fruits, while the Vedic scriptural oceanic body is like the tree. Although the fruits come from the tree, they are sweeter than the tree. The second example is that of sugarcane juice. When sugarcane juice is boiled and heated, wonderfully worked on, you have something called as jaggery, which is sweeter. So now the origin is sugarcane juice, which is sweet, but jaggery is sweeter. So similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are like those fruits and that jaggery, which comes from a source which may not be superficially very sweet. But these fruits are tremendously sweet. Some devotees even say very wonderfully that the Vedas have emanated from the breathing of Mahavishnu. Yes, so they are wonderful. But the Bhagavad Gita is special because it has not come from the breathing of Krishna. It has come from the lips of Krishna. One has come from the breathing of Vishnu, one has come directly from the lips of Krishna. The only literature which comes directly from the lips of Krishna is Bhagavad Gita. Directly. So we should give so much of time and energy studying this book. It's not simply a book composed of some pages. It has the solution to solve all our problems. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita 5,500 years ago. But even now it's worshipped. Not just spiritualists, people even from the management schools, in yoga studios, in Ayurvedic centers, they use Bhagavad Gita. In fact, some doctors also use Bhagavad Gita. One doctor I remember in Mumbai, one patient went to him with the problem of insomnia. And as medicine, the doctor gave him the Bhagavad Gita. And he said, you just read this 10 minutes before you want to sleep. And naturally, even if you're insomniac, you will sleep. So this is the level of taste that people have in the Bhagavad Gita. But Srila Prabhupada, he came to this Western world and painstakingly, he translated each verse, each chapter, in fact, word by word, as it is, only so that we read it. He has put all of his time and energy and compassion in these books. Prabhupada said, the Bhaktivedanta purport that Prabhupada has gifted us with is a manifestation of his transcendental ecstasy. The relation that Prabhupada has with Krishna, that happiness and that mood of compassion for all of us is seen through these Bhaktivedanta purports, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So those who have the Bhagavad Gita as it is, don't just keep it as it is. Please take it off and start reading it. And those who don't have it, we'll be very happy to gift you one. While you, just before you leave the center, you can remind one of us and we would be very happy to give you one copy. But the price is, you should promise that you will study it every day. One time, Srila Prabhupada was giving a talk in one of the universities about the Bhagavad Gita. And one girl stood up and she said, "Oh Swamiji, you're giving us this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Why did it take so late? Why did you come here so late? Why didn't you give us earlier? At the age of 70, you're coming here. If you would have come here before, so many would have benefited from your travel." Now, if we were in Prabhupada's place, we would be really annoyed because we come all the way and people blame us. Said, "Prabhupada, why didn't you come earlier?" Prabhupada very coolly looked at the girl and said, "I was waiting for you to be born." So Prabhupada's wit and his compassion is just matchless. Srila Prabhupada could pick lessons from anything. Another example of Prabhupada's humor was one time Srila Prabhupada was in his room, and one very surrendered disciple came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, I feel like sitting at your feet. Prabhupada said, that's never possible because I'm always traveling. I'm never at one place. So in this way, Prabhupada was very humorous. But his humor was also, backed up with his mood of complete surrender to his Gurudev and this mission of distributing the books. Another example was one reporter came to Prabhupada. Very nice story. She came to Prabhupada and she said, Srila Prabhupada, you have these big, big temples. You have these books. Where do you get the money from? Prabhupada looked at her and said, we depend on Krishna's mercy. Now this answer she didn't understand. It just went over her head. So she repeated herself. She said, but Prabhupada, to do all of this, you need money. Where do you get the money from? Prabhupada said, Krishna's mercy. Now she didn't understand. So she thought maybe because Swamiji is old, he's not able to hear. So she repeated again. She said, but where does the money come from? Prabhupada looked and said, Krishna. But then where are your funds? Krishna. How do you print books? Krishna. Where did you get the land from? Krishna. So now she had no option. She was almost losing the game now. So she looked at Rameshwar Maharaj. Yes? And she asked him, well, where is the money coming from? Now he was in a fix what to say. So he looked at Prabhupada, looked at the reporter and said, Krishna. Now the reporter thought, let me change the topic. So she said, so Swamiji, can you tell me something about yourself? Before you came to America, what was your life? How was it? Where do you come from? Can you tell me? So Prabhupada looked at her very coolly. He said, why should I tell you? So she became humble and said, well, Swamiji, if you may wish, you may tell me. Prabhupada said, why should I wish? Now the game was up. So Rameshwar Maharaj went close to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, in the West, people like to know about the author. If they learn about the author, then they will buy your books. So when Prabhupada heard that, he said, now you ask, I will tell you. So Prabhupada's mood, every action that Prabhupada did was completely Krishna conscious. Even his humor, even his vision, even his compassion, everything was Krishna conscious. Prabhupada could see Krishna everywhere. This is the quality of a great soul. When Prabhupada came to the West for the first time to America, everything was new to him. This culture completely was new. So he would take a stroll, look around, and see different things, how they work. He was fascinated how cars are left-hand drive here. He was even fascinated by the thought of laundromats. He had never seen one in India because you just wash and you dry. But look, these things are fascinating. So Prabhupada, everything was new for him. And his initial disciples, Prabhupada was completely surrendered to them. Wherever they arranged a program, Prabhupada would go. He didn't even know where he was being taken. So one of his initial disciples, they told Prabhupada, I have arranged a very nice program for you. You should come. So Prabhupada didn't even ask where it is. He said, sure, wherever it is, I would be very happy to speak about Krishna. So now you know, during that time, during the hippie movement, there was this tradition of the nudist groups, where they would be completely naked, literally live in the forests, wear nothing, do whatever they want, eat whatever they want, sleep wherever they want. That was their lifestyle. So Prabhupada, he was being taken to one of these assemblies. He didn't even know. So Prabhupada, as a sadhu, he sat. There was nobody in the audience. So he picked up his kartals and started singing Jai Radha Madhava. And he had his eyes closed. He didn't even see who's coming. At the end of the Jai Radha Madhava song, the hall was packed with all the nudist members. And they were all completely naked. So Prabhupada, you can imagine, he sings Jai Radha Madhava and he opens his eyes to find this. Only Prabhupada can do things like this. So he chanted Yamuna Tira Vanachari and then he finally opened his eyes. And Hari Bol. So much enthusiasm to come and hear Bhagavad Gita that you all forgot to wear clothes. This is not what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada is a perfect master. I was thinking if I was in his place, I would look at the disciple and say, where did you get me? But Srila Prabhupada, being a perfect master, he could recognize everybody to be part and parcel of Krishna. So you know how he started his talk? He opened his talk like this. So all of you know very well how pleasurable it is to take off one's clothes and enjoy bare body. So everybody, they shook their head and said, yes, we are completely realized in that fact. We know how it is. So Prabhupada said, by taking off one's clothes and enjoying with one's bare senses, if there is so much pleasure, the actual reality is we are all wearing material clothes now. The actual level of pleasure is taking off these material clothes and enjoying with our spiritual bare senses. They said, yes, that sounds fascinating. How to do it? Prabhupada said, today I will teach you how to take off your material clothes, body. They said, yes, we are already nude. We would like to go ahead on this path. Prabhupada said, the process of enjoying your bare spiritual senses and being free from material bodily consciousness is very simple. And he gave them the mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is Prabhupada, perfect master. Depending on time, place, circumstance, Prabhupada knows how to deal with people. Similarly, one time, are you all enjoying these pastimes of Prabhupada? Yes? It's fascinating and very purifying to speak about Prabhupada. So one time, Srila Prabhupada was with his disciples on the shore of a water body. And they were having their morning walk. And they were discussing, chanting the holy name, and then, the typical Prabhupada would have his japa beads, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and questions and answers back and forth. So suddenly Prabhupada looked towards the ocean. And there was a big ocean liner, big one. And that was being pulled by a small motorboat. Okay? A big ocean liner was being pulled by a small motorboat. Prabhupada looked, what is the lesson out of that? So everybody started scratching their head. So, what is the Bhaktivedanta purport here? We don't know what is the Bhaktivedanta purport. So they said, Prabhupada, we don't know. So Prabhupada said, such a big ocean liner, such a small motorboat, how come the small is pulling the big? So some started scratching here, some started scratching here, some started scratching their head. Nobody had any response. One brave devotee said, maybe because the ocean liner is weak. Prabhupada said, why is it weak? So another person said, because its engine is switched off. Prabhupada said, yes. So what is the lesson out of it? So, we just answered now another lesson. Prabhupada, we don't know what this means. Prabhupada said, such a big object cannot be pulled by such a small object, but it is being pulled because the engine is off. Similarly, we as spirit souls, we are part and parcel of Krishna, who is great. Therefore, being his servants, we are also big. Like an ocean liner, we are also big. And we are being pulled and attracted by small motorboats like these objects. iPhones. you know, it becomes difficult to live without them. You know, it's like, bin tere kya jeena. Without you, I cannot survive. All the romantic Bollywood and Hollywood songs can be sung for gadgets these days because people are so attached. They cannot live without these gadgets. One of the most common points that I read in the newspaper also is that as far as attachment to technology, one of the signs that you're an addict is that you take it even when you're bathing or you're in the washroom or the bathroom. You take your phone. That's how attached we are. So they're all like motorboats, and we are like big ocean liners because we're spiritual beings. And these things are pulling us. Prabhupada explained this. Then he said, because our inner spiritual engine is switched off. Because our connection with Krishna is switched off, we are being attracted by these things. Things of this world are supposed to be used, and people and relationships in this world are to be loved. But sadly, these days, we are loving things and using people. This is our situation. Yes, so we are being pulled here and there, pillar to post by these motorboat-like material objects. That's because our spiritual engine is switched off. Then Prabhupada gave the mantra to switch on the spiritual engine. And that was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then he said, if you chant this mantra, your spiritual engine will be switched on, and then no longer will you be pulled by material, temporary sense objects. It was a very beautiful lesson. If we were there, how many of us would hardly think of this and connect it to what Prabhupada did? He could see Krishna everywhere. This is the vision of a pure devotee. Therefore, he established ISKCON, this worldwide organization. Yes, ISKCON. It has 3 parts to this word. The first part is. The last part is on. And in the middle are 2 letters, KC, Krishna consciousness. Is Krishna consciousness switched on or off? If it is on, we are part of ISKCON. And if it is off, we are off the fence. And we commit offense. We must always ensure that the Krishna conscious engine is switched on. And for that, we must have regular chanting of the Mahamantra and reading of Bhagavad Gita. This chapter is called as most confidential knowledge. This is the middle portion of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters, 700 verses. And this is the 9th chapter, the central portion. And Krishna is giving the most important confidential knowledge of bhakti in this chapter. In fact, as I was mentioning in the previous class, the Bhagavad Gita is very wonderfully divided. It has 18 chapters, and there are 3 divisions of 6 chapters each. Yes, is the mathematics right? People at the back? Are we all awake, by the way? So 6 threes are 18, thank God. We don't need a gadget, right, to calculate? Okay. So we have 3 portions in the Bhagavad Gita of 6 chapters each. The first 6 chapters talk of karma yoga. Yes, connecting to Krishna through activities. You perform activities and karma and connect to Krishna, yoga. The last 6 chapters, Krishna covers jnana yoga, connecting to Krishna through knowledge. But in the middle 6 chapters, which are 7 to 12. So 1 to 6 is karma yoga, 7 to 12 is bhakti, and 13 to 18 is jnana yoga. So in the middle 6 chapters, Krishna talks about bhakti yoga. It's a fact, bhakti or devotion is a topic which is widespread, and it's there everywhere throughout the Bhagavad Gita. But these 6 chapters in the middle basically mainly focus on Bhagavad Gita. And it's very fascinating. If you're an author, you would write the whole story and you would write your opinion at the end, isn't it? You would end the book with your opinion. Just like we say, God has the last laugh. So you as the author would write your conclusions and opinion at the end. But Krishna talks about bhakti, which is most important, in the middle 6 chapters. Very fascinating, because there are reasons for it. The first reason, anything that's important is always protected. Yes? Would you keep your money outside? Would you keep your wallet next to me? Well, I don't mind. But you wouldn't. Yes, you would keep it very safe. Your keys, your car keys, your bank account number, details, passwords, PIN, all of these things are kept very safe. Only you know about it. Even people who look behind from your back, they can see, because it's like 15 digits long. All your passwords are like small letter, big letter, then there's an asterisk, and then there is alpha, beta, gamma, God knows, so many alphanumerics, and it's well coded. So anything that's important, anything that's of supreme value to you is always protected. So bhakti is the supreme wealth that Krishna can give us. So very well he has protected it in the closet where the doors are karma yoga and jnana yoga. And inside, in the middle 6 chapters, Krishna keeps bhakti. We find this even in our body. What are the 2 most important parts in our body? Ye to chahiye. Heart and? I was asking this somewhere else, and the person said hand and leg. I said, interesting. His friend was sitting next to him. He said, he's saying this because he doesn't have brains. So naturally, he's talking about hands and legs. So things which are of real importance, like our heart and our brain, are also well protected. The heart is protected through the rib cage. The brain is protected inside the skull. So things which are hard are always used as protection, and things which are important and soft are protected. So Bhakti Devi, or the process of devotion by which we can approach Krishna, is soft, tender, and really valuable. So it's protected through the doors of karma yoga and jnana yoga. Second reason, karma cannot stand independently. Jnana cannot stand independently. But bhakti is self-sufficient. So it's like they share their boundaries with bhakti. If karma yoga has to be successful, there has to be a tinge of bhakti, which is in the center. If jnana yoga has to be successful, it should have a tinge of bhakti, which is again in the center. Those who are from Mumbai will understand this. I sometimes say that Bhagavad Gita is the first ever transcendental vada pav that Krishna is giving Arjuna. Those who are from Mumbai will understand this. Or you can understand Bhagavad Gita to be a divine burger, where the actual stuff is in the middle, and it's covered by the bread or the bun on both sides. So jnana yoga and karma yoga are important, but the ultimate perfection on the path of achieving happiness is bhakti. So Bhagavad Gita in that way is a very wonderful book. It's meant for everybody. One very common notion is that Bhagavad Gita is meant for people who are old. But trust me, that's one of the wrong reasons that people give outside. Another reason, another popular notion is that don't purchase Bhagavad Gita, ghar mein jhagda hota hai. People fight. My counter argument to that is, keep the Bhagavad Gita out for 15 days and see how less you fight. The fight is still on. So you might as well keep Bhagavad Gita at your place. Yes? So it's a very wonderful book, meant for everybody. Don't wait till the time we grow old, because we never know when the last minute would strike. There's a very beautiful verse which says, Angam galitam palitam mundam dashana vihinaha jataha tundam vruddho yasi gruhitva dandam tadapina munchati asha pindam. The time of old age is very painful. Angam galitam, The senses literally melt. Galna means to melt. Yes? The senses literally melt. Palitam mundam. And the hair, open field. Palitam mundam. Dashana vihinaha jataha tundam. All the teeth gone. We started off with 3 cricket teams. 11 threes are 33. But by the time we grow old, we have to play gully cricket, 6 on each side. Palitam mundam dashana vihinaha jataha tundam. Vruddho yasi gruhitva dandam. Even our legs become so weak and we need the 3rd leg called as the walking stick. Is that the time when we are going to take up the book which is entitled, the chapter which is entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge? Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the life manual. If you buy a gadget, you get a manual with it. Yes? If you throw away the manual and try to use the gadget, nothing is working, useless. You throw it away. But if you read the manual, switch on the left button. Okay. Then press this on the screen. Now it's working. So if you follow the instructions of the manual, you will know how to use the gadget. So life or this human form is a gadget that God gives us. We are spiritual beings using the gadget of this human form, while the manual of this gadget is the Gita. It is meant for everybody. If we don't use the Gita as the life manual, we live all our life using this gadget, knowing nothing about how to use it. And finally, at the age of 60, people commit suicide, not knowing the goal of life. So therefore, better approach is to start as soon as possible. Don't wait till the end. Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful experience, meant for everybody. Don't hear Bhagavad Gita over Facebook. Most of the sayings of the Bhagavad Gita on the Facebook are never there in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna himself is thinking, if Krishna comes online on Facebook, he would say, I never said this. If Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ and Krishna, all 3 come online on Facebook, the most rated discussion between them, forming a group, would be, I never said this. And Jesus would say, me too. See, that's the confirmation. So in this way, let's not read and understand Gita on the Facebook. Instead, let's keep the book in front of our face and study it. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming here. I hope this was a boost to your inner desire to study the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhagavad Gita ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari.